Hi, I'm Catherine Garbera, author of The Bookbinder's Guide to Love, and today I'm going to show you a simple bookbinding technique, and at the end, if you follow along, you'll be able to make a journal just like this one. In my book, The Bookbinder's Guide to Love, the heroine makes handmade journals that have an intention into them, and when you finish filling out the journal, whatever you have been writing about and journaling about, that manifests and it comes true. So I hope you'll check it out, and I hope you enjoy making a journal with me. Let's get started. Okay, here are the supplies you're going to need. Some kind of recycled cardboard. You could use a cereal box. I'm using an Amazon envelope. You are going to need some plain copy paper, some scrapbook paper. This is or cardstock. I really like this stamp pad I have from Stamperia. Then you're going to need something to cut with, like scissors or an X-Acto knife or craft knife, a ruler, something to adhere with, so either some glue or some double-sided tape. You need some thread. I have some bookbinding thread, but you can use regular thread and some, like a candle, and just run the candle along that. You could also use waxed dental floss. This is an awl that you're going to use. You need something to poke with. If you don't have an awl, you could use an ice pick, or you could use your needle. You're going to need a needle, a pencil, and if you have it, a bone folder. If you don't have a bone folder, you could use your ruler to cut. And I'm going to be using, because I cannot cut straight to save my life, I'm going to be using this paper trimmer. So these are the supplies that you need. Let's get started with our first step. So the first step is we are going to take our piece of recycled cardboard and take it apart. As I said, this is an Amazon envelope, and I'm just going to unfold it like this. And I'm going to cut it, I've already got my measurements, to be 10 inches by 9 inches. You'll make it whatever size fits the piece of cardboard that you're using. So now I have my cover prepared. We'll set this aside, we'll use that again later. And then you're going to want to fold it in half. And you want to pinch it like this. And if you're trying to fold evenly, it's easier if you start in the middle and push out. There we go. So that is roughly the size that we'll be working with. I'm going to pull off this excess here. So it'll be kind of like a traveler's notebook, and I can see that my edges aren't even, so I will trim that off right now. Okay. So after you trim it, this is where you're going to use your bone folder and just run it back and forth until you get a good crease. At this point, you probably want to decide what the top of your notebook is going to be, and I think I'll do this and just put a little T on there. You won't see it because you're going to cover it. If you're using something that isn't an envelope, like if you were going to use this side, you could just stamp on it or paint or draw on it, but I'm going to use a piece of cardstock to cover this up. So we're going to set that aside for now, and we'll move on to the next step. So the second step is cutting your cover paper. I picked this one from my paper pad I showed you. This is a 12 by 12 sheet, and I need the cover paper to be 12 by 11. So I'm just going to cut an inch off the top. So for step 3, we're going to turn our cover over, and I have decided to use this side for my cover. And we're going to take the cardboard we've already cut and place it in the center. And then I'm just going to kind of mark here and here on each corner, because what we're going to do is we're going to cut these little triangles off the cover sheet, so when we fold it in, we'll have a nice fold. And set our cover aside. Grab my trusty ruler. I can't see that one. And then you're just going to draw a little line like this. And do that for all 4 cut corners. And then trim off the corners. There we go. I'll finish the rest of these and be right back. So now that we've made those cuts, I'm going to make another mark up here that just says T, so I remember that that's the top as well. And then I'm going to put my cover back where I had it. And now I'm going to kind of draw a line. I'm going to trace in where the cover is, because I like to score these. Okay. Now we are going to fold the covers over, and you could use a scoring board and your bone folder if you have one, like this. But as you can see, I have a small scoring board which would not fit the length of this. So you can just also run the bone folder along here, and it will give you a nice little line to use to fold over. Just kind of helping the paper along, because it's cardstock, it's a little bit thicker. There we go. And then I do this bit just to get a good fold on it. There we go. And we're going to do this for all 4 corners, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, so now we have to adhere this to the cover, and you could use glue, but you have to wait for it to dry. And I am a big fan of double-sided tape, mainly because I don't have the patience to wait. So all you're going to do is measure your double-sided tape and put it on all 4 of the corners, like this. Try to get as close to the edge as you can. There we are. And it's okay if a little bit goes over, you can trim it off at the end. Now I'm ready to peel off the back of the double-sided tape. And just start in one spot and take your time with it. And there we go. And then just work your way around. All right, there we go. All right, now we're ready to move on to the next step. Once you have the cover on, go ahead and take the bone folder and run it along the spine to make sure everything is adhered pretty good. And then set that aside. Now we're ready to cut our paper that's going to go inside of our little notebook. I'm doing kind of a pamphlet style notebook, as you could probably guess. I'm not going to be putting multiple signatures in this. And I've found that 16 pieces of paper fit best, but folding them, well, I'll show you that later. First, we're going to cut down our copy paper, and I'm going to use 8.5 by 9 1/4. All right, so now I've cut 16 pages to fit into this, and I'm going to fold them over kind of signature style in 4 sheets at a time, and then bundle them all together. You might notice when you go to fold multiple pages, they fan out like this. And I really don't have a good solution for that. What I tend to do is just, and then pinch it. I saw a tip online, but I haven't been able to get it to work successfully for me. Pinch it a little bit on the inside. Again, start your fold in the middle. And then go up and down. Oh, there we go. That doesn't look too bad. Okay, so do that for all of them. And after you fold it, you want to run the bone folder along the side to get as sharp a crease as you can. Because we're only doing one signature in this, we want to make sure that we get that as tight as it can. Otherwise, the pages will fan out at the edge, and then you can trim them off at the end. There we go. And then you can see I made a wrong fold on this one. But that's okay. There we go. Okay, then we're going to stack them all together. Okay, there we are. We're ready to move on to the next step. The next thing we're going to do is, because of how I've cut the cover and left it open, I want to put an end page in there. And we're also going to do some decorating on the front cover, so it'll hide some stuff that we're going to punch through. So I have this book of vintage end papers, and I've decided I think this one will do. So I'm just going to pull it out, and then I'm going to trim it to our paper size so that it'll be on the end, and we'll glue it down at the end to cover the cover, the inside cover. So I've trimmed my end pages down so that they'll fit to leave my nice border that I already have on here. And then I'm just going to slip it on the outside, making sure, line it up a little bit. Because next we're going to start poking holes to do our stitching. So let's get set up for that. Okay, so I've cut a piece of paper the same height as our book, and now I'm going to use I like 3 holes. That's the kind of binding, and I think it'll work here. And I'm going to make the marks on here, and I'm going to use this as my template for everything. So I started with a hole in the middle, and then I came down about 1 inch on the top and the bottom. I'm going to write again a T up here so I remember this is the top, and then I am going to use this to make marks that I will use for sewing in our spine here. So this is where the awl comes in. Okay, that's lined up, and then you're just going to push the awl in. The way the awl works nice, because when I go through that big signature that I made, it's got this nice round bulb on the end, and it gives you a little bit of extra force when you're pushing through. And the last one. And then I like to push it through once I've got my first hole, just to give myself some room when I'm going through with the thread. All right, we're going to set the cover aside, and we're going to grab our signatures, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take our template and line it up. If you were making multiple signatures, you would do this for each one, but then you have to stitch the signatures together. And in this small cover, there really won't be room for that. So now you just push it all the way through. All right, so now that we've punched all of our holes, we're ready to start sewing. So the next thing we're going to do is grab our needle and thread. What we want to do is we want to measure 2 times the length of this spine, and maybe a little tail to tie off. So just like 1, 2, and I always give myself extra. I'd rather have more thread than not enough. Then just cut it. So once your needle is threaded, we are ready to move on to the next step, which is binding our book. So make sure your pages are nice and even, except our end page won't be, and we're going to start in the middle, and you're going to put your needle through here, and then you're going to put it through the cover in the middle that we did. Now here I'm starting from the inside because I'm going to tie this off, but if you wanted to have like a little charm or something on the outside, you could start on the outside and leave it out there. So you're going to pull it all the way through, leave a little bit to tie with, probably about that much, should be good, if you can catch it with your thumb. And then you can either go to the top or the bottom. I'm going to go to the top. And then you're going to come back through the middle hole. Careful not to pierce your thread. You still want to hold on to this, make sure it's nice, but you have a nice even bit there. And then you're going to come back up through the bottom. That. And then when you get up here, we're going to just tie it off. So this is where you want to make sure that everything is nice and tight and laying flat. Check your spine too. And then you're going to tie this bit off. I find it's easier to make a nice square knot. It's nice to use the needle to make that first pass under. And then just trim it off. There we go. So now our signature is in here, and then I run the bone folder over again to kind of just crease it a little bit more. And ready to move on to the next step, which is decorating our cover and then gluing down our end pages. All right, so now we're ready to decorate the cover. And in my book, The Bookbinder's Guide to Love, Sarah Fina, who makes the handmade journals, she puts an intention. She allows the buyer, the purchaser, to put an intention on the inside cover. And I thought you could either put it on the inside here and have it hidden so no one knows, or you could put it on the outside where you see it every time you open your journal up. So I thought we'd do that. And then I also have some fun stuff to decorate the cover, and we'll do that real quick. So in the book, Sarah and Liberty and Poppy wrote, there is magic in the words in this book, and they will create the life I want. But you can write whatever intention you want in the cover before you glue down your end paper. I'm going to let it dry because I use that white paint pen. If you didn't want to hide the intention, you could write it here, or if you had like a journaling card that matches, you could write your intention here and put it right there. So there we go, I have the intention in there now. I want to decorate the cover with this thing that says wish. And this is a bit extra, so you don't have to do that at all. You could tape it down or glue it down, but I have these little brads, and I think it would make a nice little fancy journal. So, and since I already have the all out, I think we're good to go. So I'll probably need 4 of these. 1, 2. Get my trusty corrugated cardboard back out. And I'm going to, I like to poke the holes here before I go to the cover. So now you're going to want to lay your journal down, front cover up. And, you know, you could do it on the bottom, top. You don't have to center it. I'm going to try to center it. And now you're going to pierce holes all the way through using kind of the template I used here. After you've pierced your first hole, go ahead and put the brad in to hold it in place. And then I'm sure you've used brads before, but if you haven't, you just kind of bend them down. There's 2 sides, so you kind of bend them flat like that. So there's the front cover finished, and if you want to put something on the back, you could do the same thing on the back, but I think we're going to just be good there. The one other thing before we tape down our end papers that we might want to consider doing is adding a bookmark, and you can do that with just some thin ribbon, and I'll probably just use black because that's a good accent color. I kind of just want it to be a little bit longer than the length of the book on each side. And you're going to want to give yourself, well, you could just do it like a piece of ribbon, but of course I'm going to just be extra and tie a charm on as well, so give yourself some room to tie it off. Okay, now we're ready to glue in our bookmark, and we're going to glue it probably right there. I have some Gorilla Glue, super glue, because you only have to hold it down for 10 seconds and it really stays. And I'm going to put it right here. So you can see where I did my folds on the top, it didn't come all the way in, and I have the triangles that I cut off. So what I'm going to do is just put this on right here to kind of cover that up because it's bothering me. I'm going to just use the super glue since I have it here. Okay, and now that that's dry, I'm going to go ahead and adhere down my end page in the back. When you do this last one, don't do it all the way to the spine, because then you have a better chance of your cover laying flat when you're working in it. There we go. And that should hold it down good. Then you just want to peel off all of these at the same time, and you're going to stick it down. Okay, there we go. When you're sticking it down, take your time. Make sure that you get it in down evenly. There we are. That's the back cover done. And now we're going to flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing for the front. before you put the end pages down on the front cover, make sure your brads are all flat as you can make them. You might even want to use the bone folder to just push them down. And then just the same thing we did on the back. And then the last thing we're going to do is tie on our little charm here at the bottom. And then trim. I do know, because my mom is a seamstress, that if you cut it on the angle, it won't fray. And there we are. I'm going to just push this down a little bit. The cardboard is really thick, but there, just push that down a little bit and we're done. Little manifesting journal, just like the one that Serafina sells in her shop in the Bookbinder's Guide to Love. I hope you had fun making this project, and if you check it out, tag me and show me what you did. Until next time, bye.